Hey everyone, it's Brett from Hope to Prosper. Sorry about the road noise. I'm in San Juan Capistrano with John, and we are going to hike. Hold on a second here, see if I can get it. It says Bear Canyon Trailhead. So we're gonna hike the San Juan Trail in San Juan Capistrano. So thanks for coming along. Today's subject is gonna be retiring on the fly. So I hope you enjoy it. Today I want to talk about how to retire on the fly. Not everyone has this, future retirement plan in mind and a date picked and enough money put away, and then they get to go out on their own terms.
Really?
That's the ideal way, but statistically, almost half of workers retire years before their expected retirement date, and they end up with less money than they had planned, and then also less Social Security. Older workers, sometimes they just get laid off unexpectedly, which is what happened to me twice, or they have a health problem, which I probably have like 5 friends, or they may have to take care of a loved one. Once again, I have a number of friends who had to take care of their parents, and actually, some of them got caregivers and others had to take off work. So either way, it could happen suddenly, and if this is, something that has happened to you, or something you may be worried about, then I hope this video helps you out. So, okay, let's dig in, let's get started, and we're going to keep this short and to the point. First, I want to start with my retirement story. Retiring on the fly, that's how my career ended, and it's not something I recommend for others, but, my story was fun and unique, and so I just thought I would share it with you just for starts. When I got laid off for the second time about 2.5, almost 3 years ago now, in February of 2023, I had 6 months of money, 6 months worth of money for bills just sitting in the bank. So, God, I didn't even worry about a job. In fact, I didn't even decide to retire yet. So technically I was just unemployed. And, one day I was just sitting at my desk looking through the job listings, and then it hit me. I realized, I didn't even want any of these jobs. I was highly qualified, had a 35-year career in tech, and had been an IT manager for almost 28 years. But I was kind of a dinosaur, and I was kind of fading out, and so I decided, I don't want these jobs, and I decided to retire at 58 instead. And, it was one of my best decisions in my life, to be honest. But I didn't plan well, and it caused me a lot of stress and worry. So let's start with my basic plan. The first thing I want to say is it's super easy to create a basic plan. It's not easy to create a more intricate plan, which we'll go over in a minute. But we're just talking about a basic plan, okay? So if you're bounced out on your butt like I was, or you've come to the realization that you want to maybe pull it off early, the first thing you do is just create a basic plan. It doesn't have to be intricate. It doesn't have to be all-inclusive and all-encompassing. It just has to be a basic plan. So the first thing you have to do is you have to estimate your expected income. And I've said on here before, and I'll say it again, it's trickier than you think because certain types of income come at different times. For example, I retired at 58. I'm not going to take Social Security, or I don't plan to take Social Security, until I'm 67 at full retirement age. So I have to live for 9 years on my portfolio. It's a tall order. But, others might be a lot more fortunate. Some people might get pensions, or they might take Social Security earlier, or they might not have retired so early. So certain things, you might have certain types of income now, like say you have a rental property or you have a portfolio and things of that sort. And so those are income you have now. Other stuff might be off in the future, like your pension or your Social Security. So the trickiest part of this is, honestly, to try and figure out how much money you're going to have now and later. And so that's something that's it's harder to estimate your income in retirement than just, hey, I'm going to have X amount. But anyways, just estimate your basic income. It's that simple. Next, estimate your expected expenses. I took the old school method. I just said, okay, I'm going to need about 80% of what I used to make when I used to work. I don't have to commute. I don't have to pay for gas and clothes and all that fun stuff, and I'll be at home. But the truth is that didn't work out for me. I decided I was going to travel a lot, so I basically am spending almost 100% of what I used to make when I worked. So I had to actually increase my income. But estimate your expected expenses. And then what for sure you have to handle your health care. That's another thing that you have to put on there. I got Affordable Care Act, or ACA in California. They call it Covered California, which I don't know. It might go way, way up. It's going up this year, but it might go way up depending on how things are going. But it was affordable and reasonable, so you have to handle your health care however you do it, COBRA or whatever. And then on top of all that, don't forget about one-time expenses. If you have a 10-year-old car, or you have a 20-year-old roof, or a 20-year-old furnace, keep in mind you're going to have to you're going to have to handle those things. So make sure you put those in your expenses. And then so you take your basic expected income and then your basic expenses, and then you amortize out your one-time expenses, and then that's going to be your income in retirement. And if that works, awesome. What I ended up doing was I just ended up taking more income than I expected, and the market's been up, so I've been blessed. So you can optimize and upgrade your plan later. This is just a basic plan. Later on, you're going to want to do tax planning. You might want to do Roth conversions. You're going to have to calculate RMDs, or required minimum distributions. You're going to have to figure out how to put your investments into buckets, or whatever strategy you want to use. Some people don't do buckets. Instead, they put things into asset allocations. But either way, those are complex subjects for a different time. Just put together a really basic plan and make sure you have enough income to meet your retirement expenses. And then after that, you run the numbers. And, I ran my numbers about 2 months into retirement. Don't do that, man. Run your numbers as soon as you possibly can. Run them before you retire, if possible. And if you're retiring on the fly, run them as soon as possible. Like as in now. Don't put it off. There's no benefit in guessing at that point. So, I found out the real surprise was, man, I stressed for like 2 months. And then I found out, man, I was way better off than I expected. Between the 4% rule, which became the 5% rule, and a number of other things, I was doing better than I expected. So even on the fly, it's easy to just get started and run your numbers. Now, here's how you do it. For free, I recommend using FICalc. It's ficalc.app. This is a tool I used. It's really simple. You put in all your numbers. It gives you a Monte Carlo simulation, which tells you, 10,000 chances, what your percentage of failure in retirement, or running out of money, let's call it, versus success. And, I was in the high 90s at 4% and in the mid 80s at 5%, and I went with that. So I recommend for free FICalc. If you want to get more, you want to get a little more sophisticated for a low cost, I recommend using something like Bolden, which used to be called New Retirement, or Empower. Something like that, you could put your numbers in, then you could start doing tax planning and Roth conversions and all kinds of other neat things for a more sophisticated plan. So if you don't mind spending a little money, that's what I'd recommend. Or, you can get professional help. Like, not everybody's a DIYer like me. Some people just want help. But here's the thing. If you get a professional to help you with your financial planning, it costs. And the costs are much higher than most people anticipate. If you're giving up 1% or 1.5% a year of your portfolio, it's called assets under management. That could be tens of thousands of dollars a year, which turns into hundreds of thousands of dollars in retirement. So, if you just need a basic plan, you might not need to engage a professional. If you have sophisticated assets or a sophisticated situation, you might need a financial planner or want a financial planner if there's a lot of money at risk. But keep in mind, even though it seems like it's not that expensive, it actually is. So, all right. So the last thing I want to say is that one size doesn't fit all. You know, when you're doing this stuff, keep in mind, you may not need $1 million to retire. You might not have a family like me. You might be a single person, and then you could retire in $500,000 pretty easily. Depends on where you live. Depends on if you own your own house or if you have cheap rent, or, you know, it depends on a lot of things. So don't listen to the platitudes of people. Oh, you have to do this. You have to take 4%. 4% rule hung me up. It hung me out to dry. I was thinking I was going to have a really frugal retirement. And then I went to 5% and I was like, wow, I could actually breathe and live and enjoy it. So one size doesn't fit all. Decide what's right for you. Run your own numbers and don't listen to anybody else on what you have to do, because you don't. Do what you think is right for you. Okay, so let's wrap this up. The bottom line. The bottom line is that retirement can often find you, when you least expect it. And when that happens, don't panic. Don't go into denial mode. I was in denial mode for 2 months, and it cost me a lot of stress and sleepless nights. It was one of my biggest regrets in retirement, and it was totally unavoidable. So take the bull by the horns, step into action, put together a basic plan, and then retire on the fly and adjust it as necessary. Okay, thanks for coming along this week. Thanks for watching my channel. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful scenery of Sitton Peak and the San Juan Trail in San Juan Capistrano, California. I wish you all health, happiness, and prosperity in your lives. And I will see you next week on my next big adventure. My next big adventure is going to be probably hiking in the Channel Islands National Park in Channel Islands, California. I know you're going to enjoy it, so I hope you come along.